generation and those possibly who follow us closely. But Kenya is moving, because you could see that kind of rally. If for some reason they were able to galvanize the nation on the eve of the next general election, their vote is just enough to create a new president other than the ones that we've been presenting to Kenyans for the last 20 years or so. This is a clear, but I still want to say the tribe constituency is still going to play a factor, play a role, because for those of us who come from the old Rift Valley, remember we are still calling it Rift Valley, although it disappeared from the statutes. There is no province as Rift Valley as of now, or any other province for that matter. But we still got that old system, thinking that we come from a certain region and collectively we are under the danger of some outsider taking the presidency from us. That is still a misnomer, but it is happening. So there are people who will vote for the current leadership or against the current leadership just because they don't come from the part, either they come or they don't come from that part of the country. But the GNC constituency is going to be huge and it's going to be very decisive. It is a constituency that will make the difference. But because most of the issues are virtual and many of us are still analog, we don't seem to realize there is that danger. But I think the president is ahead of us slightly, because you remember, as if to demonstrate that Raila died with democracy, he was able to sign a bill into an act of parliament that, among other things, is to prescribe the kind of punishment they will meet on people who do certain things under this space. And perhaps they will do their own interpretation come next general election, where you are taken in, and before long, even if you are released, the way the 500 Kenyans have been released for lack of evidence of what crime they committed, they will be confusing many people. But they may want to use that as a way of trying to scuttle the GNC campaign, that yes, this is against so-and-so, this is tribal, this is whatever. But I still have a lot of faith in young people. And I will still want to encourage, even in ODM, to encourage young people like Sifuna and Babu to just face the public and deal with the issues in ODM. And if ODM becomes too small a space, they think of alternative ways of making a difference. Because people like those actually may end up being better Kenyans than those who are pretending they are safeguarding the legacy of BAMBA by ensuring that ODM remains and therefore becomes a trailer to Kenya Kwanza politics. Because anything that is being said, and you see, Fred, at times when you listen to all these speeches, I saw some 8 people, each one of them saying BAMBA said this, BAMBA said this. But the last message I remember Raila saying before he left for that fateful trip was, ODM has not decided on what we're going to do. Don't start campaigning for some people. And it was clear that don't campaign for the current regime. ODM, who has told you ODM will not present a candidate in 2027? That is the message Raila left. But now, very interesting people are making statements, oh, BAMBA left us in broad-based government. Those were donations of the so-called experts. I don't know the kind of expertise they provide that other Kenyans cannot. But it was not an issue that now there is merger between ODM and UDA. So anyway, I still want to encourage young people that this is your country. Those of us of my age and above, we are only 3% of the population. 97% of the population are people below our age. And therefore, we should not necessarily cause a lot of upheaval to our young people. While we need a blend of the old and the young, we strongly must hand over this country to young people. The way Kenyatta decided at the age of 74, he had a cabinet that was younger than any cabinet that has been appointed after that. People 29 were ministers, 32 were ministers at the age of 32. Yeah. Today, you can hardly find a minister below 40, as if people below 40 don't deserve leadership in this country, while most of the CEOs of other of private sector are between 40 and 50.
But it's a different kind of generation we're looking at, and even the way they coalesce, they seem to be almost averse to the political shenanigans of the day. What we've seen previously is that younger Kenyans have taken part in the wave of fighting for multi-party democracy, but now the younger generation that we're interacting with right now would rather go the social media way, marshal support for social ends without necessarily involving the political machinery. Do you think that this could change things in the way, probably by 2027, the way we've always thought that politics is for politicians and not for everyone else?
You know, Freddie, the thing about the Gen Zs is that they are global. They are not just local. They are global. They gain knowledge and techniques from a global environment. They influence other people as well. And the fact that they can respond the way they responded to this social issue means they can also organize themselves politically on the same social media platform. I can imagine TikTokers like this ones, you know, wanting to register as voters or even just supporting a particular political party or political formation. They can do it now, and they don't have to confront us physically. They have a way of doing it. And so every political party now must begin to understand, and even from the very beginning I kept saying, one of the biggest problems that we have is that we do not understand them, or we have refused to understand these young people. What are they saying to us? What are they saying? They seem to be saying something, but we're too busy trying to, meet our own needs, and we're forgetting to listen. What are these people saying? If we could only take a moment and listen, we might find out what's happening in their minds. And I think that we lose it. We lose it because right now, the way they mobilize themselves, they have absolutely a lot of freedom in their mind. They think this country is not for this particular region. It's for all of us. And they just invite each other the way they have done. They said they painted the road with Kenyan flags. They made sure it is a nation. They are more nationalistic than us, but we don't think so. We think they are up to trouble and fomenting trouble. So it's in the same situation in the families. Even in the families, we fail to listen to what these kids are saying, this generation is saying. What are they saying to us? And in other countries, they have spoken. Mm-hmm. You can see what's happening in other countries, the response. Even now, Cameroon, even Cameroon, which has never seen it, is seeing this kind of uprising. Because people have refused to listen. And I don't want to discuss another country's political situation when we have our own issue here. But I do believe that if we can begin to listen, and we're speaking now in the context of ODM, if you can begin to listen to this generation, this Gen Z generation, they can actually put impetus on your party and mobilize people for your party, mobilize the young people for your party, because they have the mechanisms, they have the science of doing it, which you and I cannot do. There's no way you and I can sleep with our phone next to us, and be all the time trigger happy, literally typing, and communicating with people you don't even know. They have a way of talking to people outside the country on this TikTok, because TikTokers are universal, TikTokers are global. People of my generation, if you went onto TikTok, you'll suffer from just the sheer amount of things that you see there. So we must agree that it's my generation only understands how to do things a particular way, organize ourselves according to regions, according to tribes, and try to see if there are other people who are organizing themselves like that, combine with those people, and then present ourselves to an election and call that a party or a coalition of parties.
Okay.
That's why I don't see in Kenya a single political party now that's going to claim that they can actually, produce a presidential candidate.
Okay.
It is going to be coalitions, but how do we form those coalitions? The generations after Gen Zs are even going to be more more difficult to deal with. We think the Gen Zs is it, but the generations coming after them. So we better get ourselves. Let's smell the coffee, and realize that where we are heading. As Mheshimiwa Kirwa said, we are very small in terms of population. Those of us who still have the bad manners, who bring our old manners into the system, we are very small in terms of population. We think we are many, and we still think we can actually control situations, but no. So for 2027 only, and as I say this, the Gen Zs don't seem to have anything to do in political parties. Even those who are very close to those who follow us, I mean, I can see people like Sifuna and people like Babu and others are being ostracized, are being kept away. And if those people went and focused themselves and joined the Gen Zs, there might actually be a very big shake-up for the party. So let the party people realize, bring them in, keep them within the party, and give them the opportunity to express themselves.
All right.
Yeah.
Kathy, there's hope. There's definitely hope.
Yeah, there's hope.
Watch young Kenyans do that.
Yeah, and together with that, I've received a message from a group called Christine, I think Frank, Ian, and they say they are listening to us. These young people, what they lack is actually support, because the holders of power, the people who've been in power for all the years, before this uprising and even before their voice became stronger, they don't want to relinquish that power. And therefore, I think some millennials and even the older generation look at the Gen Zs as people who are actually coming to, to just disorganize the existing arrangements that is there in Kenya. And that makes them very insecure. But I think the best thing that we can do as the older one, is to give them the space, because that space, if we created that space, they will also add value to what we are doing, because I believe each one of us wants a better Kenya, or at least a majority of our leaders want a better Kenya. And therefore, it is very important that we hear them out, we listen to them. Some of the issues that they keep raising are actually real issues. When they raise concerns around, like Christine has just sent me a message about the university funding model, and all these other things that they raise, they are really genuine. The other day they said that they can actually go ahead and equip their own hospital, because they feel that we have failed them. They feel that what is existing right now does not work. So giving them a voice and giving them a space, hearing them out is very, very important.
All right, we have exactly 4 minutes, so I'll split it into 3 for your final comments. But there's something we've not even touched about, and this is happening across the border in Tanzania. They're going for elections. I know, Bwana Pogisio, you said you don't need to discuss politics of a different country when we have our own. But there are lessons to be drawn from there as well. I know, Bwana Kirwa, you've lived in Tanzania.
Yes.
But now they're talking about an election in 2025 with a much more constrained space for critics. 17 candidates in total for president, but if you look at the dailies, only one candidate is featuring on the front pages for the last 3 months, and it's Mama Samia Suluhu Hassan. As you make your final comments.
Well, it's interesting. I lived in Tanzania for close to 10 years, my formative years of my life. And there is something that Tanzanians need to do, or Kenyans need to do also, is that CCM, from its precursor, TANU and Afro-Shirashi Party, is being done in a way that it belongs to the people, ensuring that there is what we call balozi wa mijikumi, where that particular person acts as an agent for security agencies, at the same time for social cohesion. In a sense that if I was to go to Tanzania today, I visit one of my relatives, because we still got many of them on the other side. They will have to report to the Balozi wa Mijikumi that we have a visitor from Kenya and is staying for a number of days. This therefore tells you the party is organic. It deals with issues at that particular level. And the system they use is also very interesting, that they have to express an opinion on presenting you as a candidate of the party. And if certain cadre of the party responsible for ensuring that you make progress or not refuses, you will not become a candidate. Remember, even it used to be almost repressive in the past, given the fact that even after the youth service, for those who want to go to university, the chair of the youth service would recommend whether you are going for further studies or not, because you don't seem to be patriotic enough to deal with the issue. I remember Professor Kabudi, who is one of the ministers now, says the person who recommended him to go to university was his own driver during the National Youth Service. What am I saying? I'm saying the problem is the style of the leadership of Mama Suluhu Hassan. She's been very restrictive in terms of that political space. Mwalimu Nyerere could not do the things that she's doing, unfortunately. But CCM is going to win the next election, and even possibly many other elections.
All right. Bwana Pogisio, because of time, a minute and a half only.
No, I didn't say we can't discuss Tanzania. Tanzania is within East Africa. It is, it's in our interest, by the way, that Tanzania is stable. It's in our interest as Kenya. We have very many connections and friendships in Tanzania, and we'd like to be able to do business in Tanzania. The only problem has been that there's been more repression, if you ask me, on opposition leaders. And of course, one of the famous ones is Tundu Lissu, who has just been freed from those charges. And I'm told, I mean, it's reported that he says he's staying in prison, in protests. He's staying in prison until after the elections. But that whole trial, what was that all about? You know, was to keep him off elections and so on. We are not critical. We are not critical enough of ourselves. If that thing happens in the neighborhood, we're just causing East Africa to become, you know, a situation not to study democracy. So and Kenya has been the strongest, where our democracy has been hailed. As has been. Tanzania has been very successful. I think Tanzania is, like he says, and I believe that CCM will continue to win. Maybe not the 90% or 100%, but they will continue to win. Next door in Uganda, it's, you know, we know who's going to win, and so on. So we hope that we don't come to Kenya with a situation in Kenya where we can say, we know who's going to win. Because I think democracy should not be able to be that kind of predictable. It must be that we're competing.
We already know the winner in Tanzania even before the day.
Yeah,
5 seconds only, parting shots.
Yeah, so what I want to say in those 5 seconds is that as a Kenyan, I also want to agitate and call for the release of Bob Chagi and Mesa Oyo, who are actually being held in Communicado. And it is very important that they are released and come back to our country. We know they are human rights defenders, and that is why they had gone to Tanzania. But then the other point that I would like to make is that I am part of the women movement, and we have been agitating for inclusion of more and more women in leadership. And we were very impressed when Suluhu, rose to the position of the president of Tanzania. But I want to say for sure, majority of us are quite disappointed, and it actually degrades and actually puts us in a very bad picture, not just within the East African community, but worldwide. And therefore, it it's really what we would call in Kiswahili aibu sana, where when you have a female leader who is actually behaving the way Samia Suluhu is behaving.
Yes, Tanzania indeed go to the polls in 2 days' time. The official campaign period ends today.